Alrighty, guys, not that there aren't any big movies coming out for the rest of the year, but there's really only one. I know that there are other movies that we have yet to talk about, right? For example, Zootopia 2, which I'm hoping to still talk about, and Five Nights at Freddy's 2, but there's really only one massive movie left in the year, and that is, of course, Avatar: Fire and Ash. So the third Avatar film is coming out in just a couple weeks, and of course, with that, we have some rumors about an Avengers Doomsday trailer, but let's talk about the Avatar film itself. I mean, it's the third film in the franchise. These two films previously, Avatar and Avatar: The Way of Water, have made a combined almost, get this, two films, almost in fact, maybe over $5 billion. It is insanity how much these films have made. Now, Avatar 3 is coming out, and, I liked the first Avatar. I didn't watch it in theaters, so perhaps I didn't ride the wave of the 3D hype and all that, but I saw Avatar: The Way of Water in theaters. And I saw it in 3D because it's one of the only movies that I would one of the only franchises that I would only go to see it in 3D, just like how I'm doing with this third film here, I think. And I was blown away by the visuals. I think the story is what the story is. I don't come out of Avatar films. I didn't come out of Avatar: The Way of Water being like, wow, what a transformative story. I came out of it going, wow, what a visual spectacle. And I'm somebody who doesn't always not appreciates, but I always say that visuals are never, to me, going to make or break completely a story. It's really about the plot and the characters to me, but visuals can obviously augment or it can detract from the overall experience. And Avatar: The Way of Water really was the exception that broke, or that proves the rule, that, there can be films. The story is what the story is, and the characters are what the characters are. But that film is incredible. So we have our first reactions now for Avatar: Fire and Ash, which this article that has compiled a few of them also notes Avatar 4 coming out in 2029. Anyways, I just wanted to read out some of these reactions because I think it's interesting, right? It's also noteworthy, too, to say that these reactions are coming out. They let the press see this movie well in advance, over 2 weeks in advance of this movie coming out. Usually, if a studio does not have faith in its movie, they will not let critics see the movie until right before, or at least release their reactions or reviews until right before. We don't know when the actual reviews are coming out. I don't, but it's a good sign that the studios are letting the critics release their first reaction. So let's read through a couple of them here just to get an overall sense of what's going on. First one from Eric Davis. James Cameron's Avatar: Fire and Ash is a phenomenal movie-going experience. It's the biggest of the three, action-packed, visually jaw-dropping, and rich with themes of family, legacy, and survival. The way it weaves fire, water, air, and land into every nook and cranny of the film, ... So it kind of cuts off there. I'm just reading from a compilation from The Hollywood Reporter, so I think a lot of these tweets are going to cut off at a certain point for me, but that's okay. Let's read here from Scott Mendelson. Scott Mendelson says, there's too much been there, done that in terms of plot beats and set pieces, but Avatar: Fire and Ash is still an awe-inspiring, technical, and visceral achievement. So that's a good thing. Although the plot, I think it's kind of echoing the same sentiments that we thought about Avatar: The Way of Water, that the plot is the plot, but it's, it's for the visuals. Bill Bria says Avatar: Fire and Ash is a knockout, an epic that delivers on an enormous scale with the characters and world building paying off surprising dividends. It's a delight to see a film be this big while still being a narratively and visually bold work of science fiction. Simon Thompson says, with Avatar: Fire and Ash, master storyteller and visionary filmmaker James Cameron again delivers a hyper real experience that is emotional and exhilarating. Repeatedly and exhaustively raising its own bar, this is an audacious feast that delivers more than anyone ordered. I think that's a good thing, right? Pretty sure it's a good thing. Let's read maybe one or two more. Courtney Howard has this to say. Avatar: Fire and Ash. 3 films in, James Cameron still has the sauce, making the spectacular, feel emotionally impactful. A glorious saga. Bold, brilliant, and awesome in every way. This is what movie theaters were built for. And that is a good thing. So, and let's read one more here. This is from Eric Goldman. This article says, or this reaction says, Avatar: Fire and Ash is another visually fantastic epic that also contains a couple of the most emotional moments in the series. On the other hand, I had some issues with the third act, and Way of Water remains the peak for me, but dang, Cameron delivers spectacle like no one else. So, few consistent themes there, right? Number one, it's an Avatar movie. It is going to be visually gorgeous to look at. It is going to be a spectacle of all sorts. And I think for me, just based on what we've seen, from the other two Avatar films, that is worth the price of admission alone. Honestly, just watching it in 3D like that. I'm excited for that. The movie is well over 3 hours long, so you buckle up, right, if you're going to see it, because it's going to be a long movie. But still, I think that's worth the price of admission alone. People say it's the most emotional, right? Other people say the plot is the plot, and there are some issues with the plot. So I think that this film, honestly, will line up pretty well with Avatar: The Way of Water. I don't remember what the exact critic score was for that film. And, sometimes we run into this scenario of the critical reactions just being, the first reactions, I should say, not the reviews, being way more positive than the movie itself. I remember Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker was an example of this, I think. I think recently The Running Man 2 had really strong reactions, and the reviews came out and they were all right. They were fine. I think this movie will kind of land in that 65 to 80-ish range of Rotten Tomatoes, for example. And I think the consensus will be amazing to look at. Story is fine. Story is what it is. Emotional beats, and that will be the movie. And honestly, if that's the case, sign me up. I'm excited for it. So guys, what do you think of these first reactions to Avatar: Fire and Ash? Let me know in the comments down below.